I like the idea of agility a great deal because living systems, software are in living systems with people, and so they have to be constantly new or updated for people to continue to use them well.
Hi, I'm Betsy, and I'm so excited to be celebrating the 5-year anniversary of my company, FreshTilt. To celebrate, I'm having a series of conversations with professional collaborators who have inspired me over the course of the past 5 years. The series is called Fresh 5, since we're celebrating 5 years of FreshTilt, and since the conversations are around 5 minutes apiece. My hope is that you will get a glimpse into the awesomeness of these people through the conversations, and that you might also be inspired yourself. I hope you enjoy. Carol, thank you for joining me for this conversation today.
Always a pleasure.
Yeah. So I would love to focus on sort of the topic of confidence. And, one of the things that really inspires me about you is a specific memory that I have of when we were pretty new to Pittsburgh. So you and I had recently connected. I was really interested in your career and the work you were doing, so we went out to grab a drink, and I was just kind of picking your brain about your career. At the time, I was just getting started with FreshTilt, and I was really excited about the ideas to sort of combine human-centered design, type techniques with agile coaching, but I was also having a ton of imposter syndrome. So as we met, I was basically trying to figure out, what did I need to do to be good enough, to be qualified, to feel comfortable moving into the spaces that I wanted to move into. And during that conversation, you said something very simple that ended up being very profound to me. You basically told me that I was already enough. And that really helped sort of flip something in me, so that I started to feel more confident at just taking my seat in the table. So I really appreciate that. And my first question for you is, what advice would you give to others who are maybe struggling with self-doubt about their professional worthiness?
Yeah, I think a lot of it is just being curious and trying to learn more and being open to knowing that you may not know enough, but that there's more to learn. I think that kind of helps people relax a bit about the fact that they aren't an expert in everything. And also realizing that no one starts knowing everything. Everyone starts from somewhere. They start from a place and they have to learn more, and there's always more to learn. So I think being comfortable in that not knowing and realizing that other people probably don't know everything either helps a great deal too. And then digging into the things that you're interested in and learning more about those and becoming an expert in the things that you are interested in rather than worrying about the things that aren't going to work out or you aren't as interested in.
I love that. Kind of focus on the bright spots, keep that open mindset of curiosity. That's fantastic. How do you persevere in instances where maybe things are not going the way you think, or you're maybe having self-doubt, or others are doubting your skills and your expertise? How do you persevere through situations like that? Yeah,
so I try to remind myself that, I've been doing this for quite a while, and I know what I'm doing. And also try to understand where they're coming from and what is going on, because usually I tend to be a little on the paranoid side, so I try to understand, is that what's going on? Are they doubting me? And if so, what is it? There's a model that a professor developed, and I don't remember the name, Francis Frey, I remember. Francis Frey developed this model where there is a triangle of authenticity and logic, and there's one more area. And she talks about how everyone wobbles on one of these three axes, and recognizing where your wobble is and then where the people around you may have a weakness as well, and then trying to understand what that is so that you can direct attention to that. So if they're doubting my logic, which tends to be my weak point, I should focus more on explaining my process, explaining what I'm talking about, trying to really focus on language that that will resonate with them and that they'll understand, because a lot of the times I'm talking about information that isn't natural for people to to hear or is very just awkward. So talking about people and emotions and feelings and trust and things like that are not as common conversations in engineering spaces. And so trying to frame that in a way that people understand how the software that they're making or the work that they're doing is affecting an individual, and trying to make that more approachable to them sometimes can help with getting around those issues, because sometimes it is me, and sometimes it's not, and sometimes it requires another conversation or some kind of additional work to get past that.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Sort of taking a moment to check in with yourself, but also remember that they're people and they have their own sort of experience or mental models or whatever that they're coming at it from, and thinking holistically. Yeah. That kind of leads into the last question that I have for you, this idea of keeping humans at the center of all we're doing, thinking holistically, thinking creatively. As you know, I work in the agility space, so I'm curious to know, what does agility mean to you?
Yeah. So I like the idea of agility a great deal, because living systems, software are in living systems with people, and so they have to be constantly new or updated for people to continue to use them well. And particularly, I tend to work with artificial intelligence systems, and so those are dynamic by nature. And so that agility is part of the system. And so being able to do work in a way that it can be incremental, and that we can use what we're learning to adjust and support people is really important. And also realizing that people aren't always going to do exactly what we expect with the system, and so we need to be able to respond in an agile way to that, and potentially shift what we're doing in a way that makes sense to support their needs. Yeah.
I love that, recognizing the complexity of the system, making the adjustments along the way, and keeping people front and center as well.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Carol. It's been wonderful working with you for the past 5 years, and I look forward to much more.
Me too.
Take care.
Thank you.